Welcome to Math Plus, where math makes sense. Numbers. We use the same steps as we've been using for adding and subtracting fractions. Write down the fractions with like denominators, add or subtract the numerators and keep the denominators, and we're going to move on to step 3, which is add or subtract the whole numbers and then simplify if necessary. So here we have an addition of two mixed numbers, 1 1/5 plus 4 2/6. So we are going to rewrite these mixed fractions with like denominators. And you can see our denominators are 5 and 6. So I have my multiplication strips here for 5 and 6. Remember, if you don't have those, you can write out the multiples, but this makes it easier to quickly identify that common multiple. So let's take a look here. We see something common here. Here we see 30 and 30. I think the next one is 60, but remember we want the smallest one. So we want to rename these fractions so that they have denominators of 30, but also that they're equivalent. So I'm going to go over here and first do, let's go down here in the corner. Let's do 1/5, and we want to multiply that by a fraction to get an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 30. And we want to do the same thing with 2/6. Multiply it by a fraction that gives us an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 30. So 5 times 6 equals 30. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 6. 1 times 6 is 6. So I know that 1/5 is equivalent to 6 over 30. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1 6 over 30 plus, now let's figure out the 2/6. 6 times 5 equals 30. So I got to multiply the numerator by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So 2/6 is equivalent to 10 over 30. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4 and 10 over 30. Now we are ready to add. The first thing we want to do is add our fractions. We keep our denominator the same and we add the numerators. 6 plus 10 is 16. Now we add the whole numbers. 1 plus 4 is 5. So our answer is 5 and 16 over 30. Now we can simplify that because 16 over 30, we can find an equivalent fraction for 16 over 30 because they're both even numbers. I can divide by 2 over 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So I can say my answer in simplest form is 5 and 8 over 15. If you'd like to review an earlier video on simplifying fractions, you can do that. I do want to show you another step. When it comes to adding mixed numbers, I like to put it up and down. As you know, when you're adding regular numbers, you can write it across or up and down. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1 1/5 plus 4 2/6. Now, the reason I like to rewrite it like this is because I keep my fractions together and my whole numbers. And now I'm going to have to redo them, remember, because they have to have like denominators. I learned that 2/5 is the same thing as 6 over 30. So I'm going to rewrite it as 1 6 over 30. And I'm going to rewrite 4 2/6 as 4 and 10 over 30. Now, when I draw my line, I can add my fractions here, put my fraction bar, because I know I keep my denominator the same, and add the numerators. 6 plus 10 is 16. And then add my whole numbers. 1 plus 4 is 5. And as we said below, I was able to reduce 16 over 30 to 8 over 15. And that would be my final answer. Okay, I'm going to show you one more example. Here we have 3 2/3 plus 5 1/18. Well, I got my I got my multiple strips out for 3 because when I looked at that, I noticed right over here it had an 18. So that means I do not have to change that fraction. I only have to change the 2/3. So I'm going to go over here with 2/3, and I have to multiply this by a fraction to give me an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 18. I know that 3 times 6 is 18, so I have to multiply the numerator by 6. 2 times 6 is 12. So I have my new equivalent fraction for 2/3. And like I said in the previous slide, I'm going to rewrite this up and down. So we have 3 and 2/3 plus 5 and 1/18. Then I draw a long line, and I know that this equals 3 and 2/3 is equivalent to 12/18. And I don't have to change the denominator for 5 and 1/18 because it's already 18. Now I can add my fractions. Remember, the denominator stays the same. I add the numerator. 12 plus 1 is 13. And then I add the whole numbers. 3 plus 5 is 8. So that is how you add mixed numbers.